What's up, Rioters? This is RexRath bringing you a whole new video series called Real Talk. This is going to be a series that's a little different than my usual gameplay commentaries, because in this series, I'm going to talk about real issues. And by real issues, I'm talking about things that we've all been through. Things that we all have to deal with in our lives. So I just want to get personal with you all in these videos, and share with you some stories of struggles and triumphs, and share with you what I've learned from all these things. It is my hope and intention that the things that I talk about in this series will be very enlightening and very helpful for you all. And I hope it also inspires you to open up and ask me questions, throw things down in the comments, share your stories and what you've learned, and even give me ideas of what to talk about in later videos. So without further ado, I want to get into the topic of today's video, which is going to talk about relationships. More specifically about the issues that arise when you rush intimacy in a relationship. Now, this is definitely going to be a more mature and adult-oriented topic for this video, so just keep that in mind before we get into this. Now, back when I was younger, like middle school, high school, I didn't see myself as someone who would ever get into a relationship. I actually thought I'd go my entire life without dating anyone. I find this kind of odd though, because whenever I envision my future, like in my head, I would always imagine it with me and a wife and kids and whatnot. So I don't know why I ever thought that I would never actually date anyone, but that's kind of how I thought. I thought I'd go my entire life being single. As fate would have it, that didn't actually happen. However, it was after high school when I began dating my first girlfriend. So I was about 17 or 18 at the time. Now, as you might imagine, being a young man with his first girlfriend, I was very excited about this. I honestly believed no one would actually like me, so this was a shock to me, the fact that there was actually someone out there who wanted to be with me, so this was a huge turning point in my life. Of course, as you might imagine, I was also very young and naive. I was hoping that this person would be that person. I think everyone who's dated someone for the first time, or at least the first person they've ever dated, I think that's kind of what your mindset is, like that this is the person that you're going to be with. This is who it is. Finally, now that this moment has arrived, yes, I am going to do everything in my power to make this work, to build upon this relationship, and life is just going to be so much better from this point on. Although I'll be honest with you all, very rarely is life ever what you imagine it to be in your mind. And the same thing was true for my first relationship. There were so many things I wanted to do, and there was also so many things I wanted to avoid doing, or at least things that I didn't want to rush into, such as intimacy, the very topic of this video. But hey, I was young, stupid, I didn't know a lot. I thought I did. I think everyone who's young knows, or thinks that they know everything. I mean, come on, let's be honest here. As much as I tried to avoid not being too intimate too quickly, unfortunately, a couple months into the relationship, that's exactly what happened. I was very naive, saying to myself that her and I, oh sure, we can do this thing and that thing, it won't lead to bigger things, but smaller things always lead to bigger things, don't fool yourself. I was one of those people who wanted to maintain his purity, saving myself for the person I would eventually marry. And I know this might be hard to believe in this world, but I know that there are many out there who feel the same way I do. Whether or not these people would care to admit that out loud to their friends, I do believe that we all feel a need for intimacy with someone else, someone who will always be there. So why waste it on someone who we don't know if they're going to be there tomorrow? We don't know if they're going to be there for the rest of our lives. So you might be saying to yourself, well, what's the big deal with getting too intimate with someone too quickly? As long as we are taking the proper precautions, it really doesn't matter now. Or does it? It might appear easy enough to avoid any physical effects that being intimate with another person can have. However, what most people don't usually talk about are the emotional and even spiritual effects that being too intimate with someone too quickly can have on you. Now, you may or may not believe in spiritual things, but I will tell you this, that being too intimate too quickly with someone will have effects on you that don't just affect your emotions, they will actually change who you are as a person. And in my experience, not in a good way either. This is the great irony about rushing intimacy in a relationship. In your efforts to try to make the relationship grow and to bring yourself closer together with the other person, what you end up doing is tearing the relationship apart and just driving a wedge in between you and that other person. I know this for a fact. I've been there myself, and sadly more than once. You would think that I would have learned my lesson the first time, but, you know, stubborn as I am, I didn't. The biggest problem is that this culture that we live in today, it tells us that we can have all these great things but avoid the responsibility that these privileges would normally have. The truth is, you can't avoid that because that's an inherent thing. When you have a privilege, there's always a responsibility that goes along with it. So when you rush intimacy in a relationship, you are saying that I am also ready for all the responsibilities that this will carry with it. But chances are you're not ready. I definitely wasn't. In the end, it overwhelmed me, and the relationship fell apart. It's kind of like this. Let's say that you want to buy something. So what do? You go, you get a job, you make money, you work for it, and it takes time, obviously, and then you finally collect all this money, and then you go and you buy whatever it is you want. And there you go. You worked hard for what you wanted, and now you have it with no strings attached. But let's say now that you're impatient. You want it now. You don't want to wait for it. You don't want to work for it. You want this thing now. So what do? You go to the store, you put it on credit, and there, you have it. But you also have debt. You say to yourself, even though I won't have the money to pay it off on time, I'll pay it off over time. But what ends up happening? The months go by, the years go by, and you're still paying this thing off because you were not patient. You didn't wait, and the interest is now building up, and it's starting to overwhelm you. You realize that your impatience has actually cost you a lot more than you first imagined it would. If you allow yourself to be impulsive and to rush into things, I guarantee that you will get more than you bargained for. What I have come to find is that because I rushed into things with my first girlfriend, it's actually made my subsequent relationships that much more difficult and much harder to control that impulsiveness I had there at the beginning. The things that have come out of rushing into things and forcing intimacy in a relationship still haunt me to this day. I've been forced to make some difficult and honestly horrible decisions that I would have never ever had to make had I not rushed into things. And it really does affect you. I am not the same person because of these choices that I've made, and although it is a good thing in some senses because I have learned a lot from it, at the same time I really wish I could go back and undo those decisions to say, no, choose the better path, don't learn the hard way. And take it from me, it's a lot better to learn the easy way rather than the hard way. So I hope that whatever I've said today you can learn from and put that into effect and say, you know what? I'm not going to go and do something so stupid thinking that, oh, it's going to be fun, it's going to be just fine, but in the end, it really isn't. Chances are, if you're watching this channel, you're like me. You're young, you've got your entire life ahead of you. Trust me, you have nothing to rush into. You have nothing to worry about in terms of what the future holds. You don't have to worry that, oh no, if I don't get this right now, I won't have it tomorrow. Please. You never know what tomorrow holds. Trust me, I have been so pleasantly surprised about the things that have happened in my life that I never thought would happen. I'm like, wow, this is actually happening. And it was literally like the next day something amazing happened. And I was like, whoa, I would have never expected this. And let me tell you, that's exactly the reason why you shouldn't think that if I don't do this right now, it's never going to happen. Because trust me, it's going to happen. So don't worry about it. If that's what you want, just wait. Be patient. It will come in time. Just you have to work for it. Just like the analogy I made before, you gotta work for it. But I think I am going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. I will be excited to make more videos in this series, so I hope you will enjoy those as well and learn from that, and also give some creative feedback, because I really want to hear back from you guys from these videos. I want to know what you've been through, and it's just some personal stories about you and the things you had to go through and the things you learned from it. Not to mention any questions you might have for me about the things that I've been through. But anyway, I would like to thank you all for watching. As always, if you liked the video, please hit the like button, help me raise this riot. If you want to join the riot, please hit subscribe, stay up to date on all my videos. Don't forget, you can also follow me on Twitter and like me on Facebook. I also have a Steam community group that you can join as well if you have Steam. And as always, catch you all next time.